Cryptillians and crypto crackheads, today is still April 19th. No, shoot. It actually is to the 20th now. It's late. Crap, I didn't realize it was this late.
It's still the 12th. No, it's not the 19th, Tim.
All right, well, okay. In California, at least, it is still April 19th, Monday, 2021, and you're about to get Timified if you're in California. But Future Tillians, if you are on your Tuesday, Future Tillians, welcome to Tuesday. I hope it's a great one with red dildos up your bunghole. Hey, new viewers, this crypto YouTube channel is quite a bit different than most channels. So I don't do crypto news. It's mostly the charts. However, I give you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, and it tends to be a lot more profitable for people. So a lot of the folks who do the news, they try to get you pumped up, and it doesn't help you, click around with your money. You don't enter trades confidently when you do that. And I know you've bought a lot of stuff just to see it go down right away, right? Which, even if you've been making good trades recently, probably happened too. But on a regular basis, I know that's happened to you without a flash crash. And this channel tries to help you, or actually, it helps you address that so you can be confident entering your trades. Confident that you are entering a statistically probable winning trade, right? And also, this channel does, the second thing we do here is I teach you how to sell and take profits like a boss. Even if you are a buyer and prayer of a YouTube hype coin like 𝐿TCOIN or Cardano, if you like 𝐿TCOIN and Cardano, you sell 𝐿TCOIN and Cardano. That's one thing no other channel is going to teach you. Okay? And I'm not claiming to sell tops and buy bottoms. You need to get off anybody's channel who's saying that. That's ignorant. All right? And those people need to be, honestly, like they need to be flagged if you see people saying that, because I know I've seen a few out there in the past. I don't know. Maybe YouTube's cleaned itself up since then. But anyway, so those are the two things this channel really helps you do. So if you are out there, constantly looking for end of year price predictions, first of all, you need to stop that shit. That's not going to help you. It's not going to help you. All right. You need to mix your YouTube education with all your white paper readers and stuff, and then somebody who shows you what you need to hear about price action. All right. You need to supplement your efforts and stop being a freaking moon boy. Okay. All right. So this channel will help you do that. And you can mix my information with moon boy stuff and, get that itch, like the end of year predictions. All right. So, which end of year predictions can be done with coins that have seen 2 full bull runs. And Cardano actually has not seen 2 full bull runs. So you can't do that yet. But that's on the cusp. That coin is kind of special the way it came out at the end of a bull run. And then lost 98.77% of its value over the next year and a half. All right, and it shall probably happen again. All right, anyway, so this video is my second one of the day. We'll address altcoins, small caps particularly. However, in order to be a little clickbaity and grow the channel, I typically do cover one of the hype coins, like Dogecoin. If it's going up, I'm going to cover Dogecoin, right? So I'm trying to try, most people have picked up on that, but because that's what a lot of viewers want to hear, and I'm trying to save as many souls as possible. So I will cover those hype coins, but right now the only hype is red dildos, like Bitcoin crash. But I didn't make that last video about that on purpose. That was a surprise. Anyway, so this is my small caps video. And so returning viewers, on my previous video, I think it was my previous, one of the return viewers said something about, you mentioned idea was a good snag at 50 cents, this and that, right? Well, and how, it's hurting because it went lower. Okay, well, you had a statistically probable winning trade. You entered that with a plan and you executed the plan. It did not go as expected. However, your expectations are that it always will go as expected. So, I really like your comment, and this video will be based off that. I can't remember your name, who posted that, but you know who you are. You're watching this, and leave me a comment down there, because I thank you for that. That's a great comment, by the way. But to address that, which this video will do by going over lots of alts, it happened across the board. So before we go into each one and kind of look how each broke through a level, you still have to know at the time your entry there was statistically very probable to be a great trade, to snag something and let it go right back up. It was the right idea. I guess pun intended.
Pun intended. That was a cheap pun, Tim.
I know. But actually, no, pun wasn't intended. I just forgot we were talking about the idea coin, which is not a bad coin to pick up if I may not be your financial advisor for any moment ever and never offer you financial advice. But it is a low cap coin that has fantastic staking, and the founders are pretty ambitious, and they seem to be doing some good work. Getting they're able to reach some fairly big names in crypto. I'm kind of impressed with what they're doing, and it's just a matter of time until a big YouTuber picks them up and it just goes bananas. By the way, kind of like MTV, because it's doing what Zilliqa and Harmony are doing, and both of those have been hype coins at one point or another, and Harmony won just most recently. Actually, it's like the most recent hype coin. And Zilliqa was a hype coin of I think 2017 or 2018. Even though 2018 was a bear market. Anyway, so but yeah, to address that, in general terms, first before I go in, is this: when that happens, okay, you need to have already a game plan on what to do next when your plan that you perfectly executed, you planned it, it executed perfectly, when it actually ends up not being a favorable trade. Do I personally suggest for myself using stop losses for non-leveraged trades when you're already snagging what is statistically likely to be a good snag? I'm not suggesting anything to my viewers. I personally don't. Because it's a bull run. If it breaks below support that you bought at, which is already a dip, how severe could that dip really be? Right? 15, 20% maybe at the deepest? How many days do you need to sleep in order to be back, at neutral or in the green? Maybe 10 days at the most, right? Would be my guess. Could be slightly longer, like depending on what Bitcoin does. But I kind of have a feeling Bitcoin might race up. I'd like to avoid this cross we're staring at on the screen. So first off, the general idea is you need to have a general game plan, okay, for yourself. I'm not going to be able to hold everybody's hand on every single trade. Okay, you need to look at things and have a game plan for yourself because it is your money. I'm not managing your money. You are, right? I'm just trying to give you the best thoughts that I have on entries. Okay, and perhaps sell places where I think profit taking could be a good idea without giving financial advice. But second, in general terms, when things break down below a base point that you think is statistically probable to being a winning trade, which will happen a few times every year, and it happened across the board here, right? But you need to adjust your expectations, because that comment, I felt, even though it was a good comment, and that'll be the basis of this video, I feel that the connotation behind it was one of disappointment, that idea went below 50, like you said, dude, or dudette, like whoever you are, whatever crypto pronoun you have, cryptillion or crypto crackhead, whoever you are, you shouldn't have those expectations. So, disappointment in general terms across the board, like globally, even if you don't speak English, doesn't matter what country you're in, if you're in like Thailand or Laos or something, right? Laos. Disappointment is often born from expectations one creates that are later broken. So given that I thought that your comment had disappointment in its connotations, I'm making that assumption. My assumption could be wrong, but I think I'm right. But given that I think that had disappointment in it, my suggestion across the board, but to all viewers, is when a trade that seems to be a good one, and at the time was the best, among the best possible trades, when it doesn't go as expected, you need to approach your mentality of the outcome with fewer expectations or looser expectations. If you have rigid expectations, right, your bubble will be burst, your expectation bubble, and you will be disappointed. So that means you weren't ready for it, like at all in the least, to have made that comment, right? So my suggestion to you, and this, like even outside of crypto, entering situations with no expectations at all, honestly, is like one of the healthiest things you can do. First off, so but even though that's humans, your brain works off patterns and identifying patterns. That's why, for example, in 9/11 attacks of the towers burning, or just any fire, right? When you see smoke, if you look at it long enough, you think you see faces, or clouds. You think you see faces all the time. Your brain is programmed to see patterns. So because of human nature, and probably most mammalian, and maybe even down to amphibians, honestly, because that's how a lot of life reproduces and multiplies, is by identifying patterns and surviving off of that stuff. But anyway, because you can't actually enter things without expectations, you have to identify and be mindful of the expectations that you are bringing to whatever situation, and simply override them, because they're still floating around in there, but you just ignore them. And then you use a different part of your brain that's not forcing those patterns on you, and you realize, I am coming to the situation with very few expectations. Okay? And the expectations that I have, I need to be prepared to expect something else as well. Therefore, when the unexpected happens, you are not left disappointed. Okay? And the reason I'm going off on this is because if you are beat down and disappointed, I'm going on this tangent for a reason. Remember what I always say, what's the hardest thing about trading is your freaking emotions. You are the hardest thing about trading. And if you come at stuff disappointed, you're going to be clicking around, making bad decisions, like probably selling bottoms. And I wouldn't be surprised if you already sold that. And then you're going to see price go right up, probably. Could you get lucky? It goes 10% lower? Maybe. I sure as heck wouldn't try it. I'm going to personally, I'm hunkering down on the large percentage of my portfolio that I have in or at least my altcoin, which is a lot of my portfolio, because I've been through a bull run before, and I've seen bloodier, honestly, on a percentage basis. So that is my suggestion to you, because it's going to make you click around, and the hardest thing about trading is you, and it's managing your emotions, and there was emotion behind that. And that's the end rant.
Hopefully that was the good one.
But I think it's valuable. So expectations. Override them. Better trading. Okay? All right. So before I get into all those small alts and these levels that have broken through, I wanted to not necessarily rephrase, but supplement what I said as a recap of what to expect with Bitcoin. I said at the end, like, time frames, and kind of summarize my stuff. I don't want to undo or, take back my guesses. I think those were pretty good on the fly guesses, and honestly, I'll stick with them. But I want to repackage those to you to leave you with the thoughts that are perhaps more categorical and easy to think about, I guess. Now that I've had time to reflect, I would break it up into 3 tiers of possibilities of this shit that's about to happen. Because I don't know what the hell's getting ready to happen, but whatever it is, it's gonna be. I bet it's gonna be violent. And right when, if Bitcoin prints stuff that looks not violent, like writing a line, right when it has you convinced that's what it's doing, that's when it's gonna get violent, probably, and come right back up and close a doji. Or hell, close a big green candle, something like that. So either way, I think it's going to end up being very violent. And that is reminiscent of what I've been saying this whole 4 weeks. The amount of pressure on both sides it's never happened before. Okay, and part of it is because a lot of the bottom pressure that shouldn't have been there was from the exchanges planning to take gamblers' money with stimulus money. But still, the pressure is there. And when the pressure blows, through a small, area and is going through, whether a ship is leaking, that water is coming out quickly, right? In a submarine or whatever's leaking under pressure. There's a lot of pressure, right? So I think by default, we're getting ready to see a lot of volatility, would be my guess. Is it possible that there's a slow descent down, and it's kind of like a nice tennis player smoothness, maybe, but I think what other smoothness would be happening it'll trick you because that tennis player, I mean, they can serve a freaking ball at 110 miles an hour, even though you think they make it look easy, that ball's going to come flying at you, is my main point, right? So the 3 tiers that I would be thinking about here is this. First tier, which I'm not saying is most probable, just ways to think about it. So up, sideways, down, essentially, okay? Up is to avoid this cross. I think Bitcoin might start pushing some big ass green candles and just race into 70K quickly. That could easily happen. And since these can print and cross while, I need to go to the daily to show you this. So imagine we're still on the weekly and you're seeing like, you know, like two lines crossed like this and this. Okay. So these could print, but they haven't closed. So they could essentially unprint. That would be the wrong one. Let's see here. Like this, it could go from here to that. That would be the exponential moving average, which moves faster. So it could actually midweek be like this and then unprint itself to go like that. From there to that. And that would be Bitcoin racing up at the end of the week. Now, like I said, I think we'll see it sooner than later. I don't think that'll happen like on Saturday, the last day of the week. I think that'll start happening Friday at the latest. But, I mean, we could see some like $8,000 days twice in a row. It could be monster. Which, within a week, would give among the most volatile weeks that Bitcoin has seen in a long time. I think that could easily happen. I don't know how probable that is, because I really haven't had a lot of time to think about it, but that's one class or tier of what to expect. The second tier of what to expect would be kind of this thought that the origin line rides and then a quick wick down. So even though it'll be mixed, that'll be the tennis player looking all smooth, but then when he hits the ball, even though it looked easy, it's flying at you at 110 miles an hour. That would be that one. The origin line riding or slow descent, and then boom, boom, and then like you wake up, wait, where did this $8,000 wick come from? Like, I didn't see it happen, right? Like, what was that? That's the second tier. And then the third tier, honestly, I mean, is this 40K line and below? Honestly, I think something like what happened in 2012 might be ready to happen, folks. Because that is the only other time during the mid-bull market, per the halvening, which if you don't know what halvening is, you need to get a little bit more informed on crypto while you're here. But it did happen here, back here. This is flash crash before, like, just an insane freaking run. I mean, so I would kind of mix, maybe 4 tiers, actually. So the third tier being kind of like these lower end targets that we've been looking at. 38.8, as low as 38.8, maybe as high as 45 if Bitcoin just peaks. Oh no, the 45 would be the second class essentially, if it peaked its head just for a bit. But I think the third class is one of these lower ones from about 35,000 to 38.8, and then the fourth class, we could see something crazy like a 65-70% correction, to wash a lot of people out, and then Bitcoin goes racing to, in my opinion, up over $300,000 before the end of the year. Yeah, I mean that's less than 6x from where it is. Like, that's not a big deal for Bitcoin. So yeah, I would guess 4 tiers. I think something really nasty could happen, folks. I mean, Bitcoin, honestly, I wouldn't say all the way back down to 20K because it would stop. No, I mean, honestly, it could. It could come back down and hit this freaking origin line. Because that would coincidence. I mean, look how look how coincidentally this lines up. Watch. Last all-time high. Watch. To the origin line. Okay. How far out is this origin line? 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, about four or 5 weeks. 4 weeks. That's not much time. That could happen. Do I think it's most probable? No. But if this crosses, the chance of something crazy happening that did not happen last time, it could absolutely happen. And then Bitcoin would probably race to the moon. I don't think this will be the beginning of the bull market. There's too much money printing, and I mean, I think it's more probable that Bitcoin will hit 500,000 before I think the bull market or the bear market starts here. I really think that's among the least probable things. And like I said in my last video, right when what you expect to happen happens, but that's also the moment the day before you gave up hope on it, right? And so, do you think people would be giving up hope on a 300,000 or 250,000 Bitcoin by this point? Hell yeah. Boom. So I don't think that's most probable. And what that would mean for small alts, I don't freaking know. I don't know what. I really don't know. But what I do know is last time Bitcoin got stuck under its weekly 10 EMA, altcoins had a big hoorah, as in some of them went 100x in 3 weeks. Because people taking profits out of Bitcoin threw a portion of it to small caps. And since they were small caps, there wasn't much liquidity. It just went, I mean, so I think you should think about those 4 tiers, okay? So up immediately, like freaking soon, as by Wednesday, Thursday this week, maybe starting Friday, a super volatile week. Down a bunch, up a bunch, all in the same week. I think it could easily happen. And honestly, I kind of hope that's what happens. I hope I'm totally 100% wrong about it dipping below the origin line. I would prefer shit get hot because it's more fun, right? And then second tier rides this line, wicks down, or some nice soft descent down to the moving averages. Third tier, one of these two lines, you know, something like 35 to 40K. And then fourth tier, hit this origin line close to all-time highs in 4 to 5 weeks. Right? That's how I would think of this. Do I know how to play each of these? No. I simply want you to think, I mean, hell, like you start leaving me suggestions because that fourth one hasn't really happened since 2012. So, but it did happen. Okay? Gotta get down and get up. And honestly, that could lead to like a $400,000 Bitcoin, honestly. Yeah, I mean, it could 20x from there. I mean, it could do it. With all this money printing going on, it could easily happen, and interest rates and all that stuff getting finagled. $400,000 Bitcoin is very, very, very possible. Like double digits possible. So anyway, all right. So to address that idea stuff, let's just actually start with idea. And I finally got smart enough to actually like not get lost in these and put them in alphabetical order. Holy cow, it went way lower. Well, that really sucks. That was very unexpected. Yeah, I mean, this would be one of those cases where it is the rare, I mean, it is not typical when you catch a nice dip like this after a small run. Like statistically, this did not go up very much to need to correct, right? That's less than double. So to see a huge correction, like this is once in a blue moon. You can't plan for that, right? But you can set your expectations accordingly, and hopefully if you had 20% flat, you can be buying things on sale like this, at least with some of your portfolio, as a lot of it's tanking. But by the time it turns around, you're way better off because you freaking really capitalized with that 20% that you had been saving in Tether while things were racing up like Ethereum, right? Because you saw divergence on the weekly. Yeah, this is a lot lower than I ever would have expected. I'm kind of flabbergasted right now, but it's coming right down to these candles. Yeah, that's a big failed That's a massive failure of a run right there. So this could be one of those rare instances where having put a stop loss with not in a leveraged trade, I mean, would have worked, but typically what happens when you set stop losses, it'll wick right past it and then go right up. And you're not only losing out on price action because you sold down here, but you sell at a loss, you get the trading fees, and then if you want the coin, you have to buy it back higher. That's typically what happens. And that's why personally, with my very, very safe entries, statistically very safe over time, I've just learned that I waste more money putting stop losses with non-leveraged trades. And that might be why my trading style is so safe with entries. So, I mean, you just can't plan for something like that. That really tanked through. So I honestly, the only way to capitalize on that is to have been a little flat and deploy stuff that was not deployed. Okay. Yeah, there's not a lot you can do. Because over time, what I'm telling you, what I find in bull markets is when you set stop losses for non-leveraged trades, it will wick right to it, knock you out, eat your trading fees, you sell at a loss, then it screams right up. It's like more than 9 times out of 10. So over time, this one happening out of like 50 is not even close to the other 49, right? That's my thoughts on that. I mean, this really sucks. I'm down quite a bit on idea as well. But I'm not going to sell a bottom. Like I wouldn't sell here because the likelihood of it just going right after I do it is up. And plus I'm staking all my ideas, so I wouldn't be able to if I wanted to. Yeah, and this is surprising this is happening. I guess a lot of people, and this could be, so maybe you can do a little research on the coins that are staked, especially on KuCoin. Perhaps those are some of the worst performers right now because people were pulling out of staking in chunks, and that might be a result of essentially like irony of the idea of staking. The idea of staking is that this can't happen, but perhaps it's in a flash crash, it's facilitating people wanting to get out, and then they all have to wait that 3-day or 2-day trial period or whatever until you get it, and then they all, like when they see it, they all sell at the same time. And that could be the irony of staking. I don't know. Like you would have to look up other coins that are staked across platforms and give me a heads up on that. All right. So other coins. So a bunch of coins busted through. Has Viacoin? That'd be great if Viacoin busted through. No, about the only one that hasn't. Damn Viacoin. Stop being so strong. Good thing I bought so much early. Yeah. So Viacoin's one of the few that hasn't. ADB, did it bust through my 50% support level? No, it's right at the 50%, but I still kind of thought it wasn't going to break below here. Where's the, let me put the weekly 10s. So typically a lot of these are playing the weekly 10. And honestly, if you weren't prepared for the weekly 10 to say, look, so if you did not have the expectation that it could hit the weekly 10, I mean, you're doing something wrong. Right? Because I've said over and over and over in my channel, coins typically like to hit the weekly 10 before they skyrocket, and idea is so young it doesn't have it there, so that might be a portion. That might be a big reason why it went down. Because it doesn't have that weekly 10 printed to hold it up. That it's not, I mean, sorry, it's not a laughing matter, I'm down too, but I don't really have a lot to say on it. So weekly 10. So a lot of these, what the play has been as a very logical support level, not just logical support, but logical to the size of the run versus the size of the correction, hitting, like right at 40, plus this wasn't a big run, so a 40% correction is statistically very likely. You have a great horizontal there, and then it busts through, but there's a reason why it busts through to get to the next thing. What's the next thing? Typically, it's the 4-hour 200 EMA or the weekly 10. Well, there you go. So this is going to be kind of the common thing. Exact same thing BEPRO did. Or not. BEPRO went pretty far below. Maybe it's on the BTC. Yeah. That's actually, well, Well, I had these lines here for a reason. I don't remember drawing them. Oh, look. On the Bitcoin pairing, look at that. I drew these a while ago.
And look to where it came down to.
Isn't that crazy? I honestly didn't expect that to happen, though. I think in only one of my videos a while back, you know, probably right after I took profits at 4.5 cents, on one of my videos, I'm certain that I mentioned it, but I didn't, you know, I very specifically said it's very improbable. I said that BEPRO could easily come down here at this trend line. And then I think the reason I brought those up on the Bitcoin pairing is because I said, I think what I might have said and why I drew these is because it'll probably coincide with the Bitcoin pairing these lines. But I definitely didn't call that happening. I in that video, I'm almost certain that I'm pretty sure that I said specifically that's highly improbable to happen. A very like the 10th what if, but shit, it happened. So yeah. So there's always what is it falling down to? In BEPRO's case, that's it. I drew those lines like a month ago. I didn't see it going down that low. Okay, and again, the only way you can capitalize on this is to have been flat with a portion of your portfolio. Okay, you cannot capitalize on this by knowing when to sell all of your bags at the perfect time. You can't do it. Right? You can't do it. You just have to swallow being flat. As Ethereum was going to 2,500 and you feel like you're missing out, but you have that there because you know divergence is being printed and you're ready. It's really the only way to capitalize on this, man. So, gosh, even Bolt's breaking down. My God, this is pretty bloody, folks. This is bad. Yeah, stuff might be wanting to hit us 21. Damn. Capacity seems to be stopping at it, so it broke past this logical, statistically most probable area, particularly when Bitcoin doesn't have a flash crash. And then it went to what's next. And it might go to what's next after that. I mean, this is pretty bloody. God, I hadn't really looked at these charts. This is pretty bad. This is, you know, if you haven't seen this before, you're probably freaking out. But the likelihood of May being glorious and you forgetting all about this is very high. Okay. But I mean, if Bitcoin goes back down to like $22,000 to that origin line, I mean, it'll get worse before it gets better. Much worse. Yeah. I mean, it's just across the board. Everything's hitting its weekly 10. Okay, so if you see something like this happening, closing, so a lot of closes above, that's very confident. But sometimes when a coin starts closing below, sometimes it'll get stuck under it. And then it takes 3 entire more weeks to close above it to get the confidence to convert enough sideliners and sellers to be buyers again. So just keep that in mind. So stuff like this, unless you're Bitcoin, won't just race back up. It'll typically be hesitant at its weekly 10, close a few above it, maybe spike up, come crash back down, close, and then go. I mean, my rule of thumb is 3 to 4 candles above. And the psychology, the reason why I think the psychology behind that is across your 3 general groups of peepers, sideliners, buyers, and sellers, right? You obviously have a lot of sellers here. Okay, so this group is big. And these people are sure as hell not buying, and this group is inexistent. Like it doesn't exist. So all the pressure's down. In order for these people to become sideliners and or buyers, but probably more sideliners, therefore create a better equilibrium of up pressure to down pressure, you have to close above the 10 a few times. It doesn't just race up. Like these people don't just freaking become buyers instantly. And the reason why Bitcoin and Bitcoins can do that is because of leverage trades. A lot of people instantly become heavy shorters to heavy longers when key horizontals are hit. I mean, that's what scalpers do. They go in and out between positions. I mean, and and Bitcoin moves very nicely, and they can be right like 8 times out of 10. And even if they're only right 4 times out of 10, doesn't matter. They manage their losses and milk their gains. So that's when buyers and sellers can immediately flip. But in coins like this, it won't happen. That's why in these smaller caps, I mean, typically 3 closest above is kind of the rule, okay? Which it doesn't apply to Bitcoin. Bitcoin loves to race the frick up with no regard to the weekly 10. Just like, hey, didn't we just see you on the way down? Okay, see you later, right? Bitcoin's strong as hell. Yeah, I mean, it's just bloody across the board, folks. So really, that's the only 2 things I can say. Oh, wow, DAPPT is looking freaking strong. Good. I said earlier that was one of the best trade entries I thought I was going to end up making. Now, did I get out and double my money? No, not yet. But that's strong. That's actually really good. I'm surprised it's that strong. Yeah, just bloody across the board, my God. I really feel happy for people who were prepared for this, though. More prepared than I was, because I deployed half of my flat position way too early. So something like this, EFX, I sure as heck, like honestly, I think the vast majority of all altcoins will race up before this one does, because it's closed. It will have closed 3 candles below. It's not just going to start flying up. Hell, it's probably going to get rejected from this once or twice, then close at it, then close above it 3 times. So, I mean, you're looking at 7 weeks before I would guess it'll be 7 weeks before this moves up. Maybe 6. So when you see this kind of stuff happening, if you like EFX, it might be wise to place your efforts into a coin that has been closing above its 10, thus may race up a little higher, especially if it just touches its weekly 10, has a good reaction off of it. Which coin did that? I think it was no, it was Bolt, and then it fell down to it. So it didn't keep that reaction. But if you see a coin close right above and hit its weekly 10, those will take off faster than this would. So keep that in mind. If you're closing below the 10, it's probably going to take a bit because those buyers and sellers psychology. 𝐿Q is looking strong. Yeah, that's a good one to be in right now. So this Fuchs coin or whatever, right down to its weekly 10. Flux is too young. Map coming, so the map's looking strong too. Gosh, MHC looks super strong. My God. Holy cow. Too bad I got out of most of my position on that one. I wish I would have held that. Dang. Oh, you can't win them all. I think I sold that to get into BEPRO, but this has probably done less of a run than BEPRO since I got in. I think hasn't 20x'd. So I made the right choice there, but I kind of wish I would have kept a little bit more. All right, Morpheus Labs, way down. I mean, shit, this is bloody, folks. There's not a lot you can do here. MTV right at that 0.009 area. I said I thought I wanted to get it. It actually came down lower. So when it breaks a logical support, it finds what's next, and this what's next was just the next trend line down. A very clear one. Now, will it break through again and find what's next even beyond that, back down to 0.0053 or 0.0055? You know, if it hits this, it absolutely could. Now, with how strong this coin is, this would be a good candidate, kind of like DAPPT and 𝐿Q or whatever else was looking really MAP to stay above it. But yeah, if you see it breaking below, well, that's the next stop. It's the weekly 10. So would I suggest like selling at 0.007 your bags to try to get it there? I mean, I probably wouldn't, because the chance of it just flying up 10% on you, I mean, it's kind of high. And then you just wasted all those trading fees, and then you have to buy higher. OLT hasn't gone down to much more. So at least OLT has its weekly 21 right under it to support it. Opacity looking actually pretty strong. Yeah, everything's just playing its weekly 10, folks. Or lower. What is this? Ruby's looking real strong. It's already... Wait, is this the one that had its daily cross, like it's a golden cross. Yeah, it's the one that's about to happen. Yeah, so it's probably going to correct all the way into it, folks. Ruby, like the likelihood of it going under its daily 21 is really high. Like it could easily hit this point sextuplet 0.175. It could very easily. Like honestly, I think it's probable. That's been the play is to go down into your cross. So, but I warned everybody about that, especially my patrons. I said, it's hitting the resistance now. Profit taking might be something I would do if I held this coin, hint, hint. And I am looking to buy it as it crashes into the cross. So hopefully y'all heard me on that one. This one's looking surprisingly freaking strong. Because it's already minutes 21. Interesting. Even Shaw broke down. No, Shaw actually didn't break down that much. It could easily come all the way down here, folks. Yeah, this is really bloody. This is bad. Honestly, if I hadn't been through a whole bear market before and seen way worse than this over and over, I would probably be freaked the hell out. This is bad. But for those of you who were prepared to deploy a lot of, your fiat and or tether, you should be freaking happy right now. Even if it's only 20% of if you're able to deploy 20% of your portfolio during these times, assuming that 70% correction that I thought is possible, right? Not likely, but that fourth tier, as long as that fourth tier doesn't happen, you're going to be sitting real nicely in May. Real nicely in May. Toko's looking like it's going to hold strong. Kona is extremely strong. Dang, that's kind of surprising. But it's playing the range, just like I said, right? Told you I'd come up right to the range. Which means my limit sells probably hit. Yes. Okay, good. So I did successfully sell a 20 bag here. Awesome. I haven't even checked. Trias is looking oddly strong. Just be careful for this coming back down to 2.8 cents, though. Or not 2.8. $2.80. Trias versus Bitcoin. Yeah, I really do anticipate. Yeah, I think the play on Trias might be on the Bitcoin pairing. I think because the weekly 10's coming right up at a trend line. I think it's probable that it hits it. But it's kind of looking like it doesn't want to. What's it playing? The 4-hour 200? No. That's surprisingly strong. That's a lot of buy pressure. That's actually among all the coins I'm looking at, that has more buy pressure than anything. Even more than DAPPT and MAP. That's impressive. There's something happening with that coin that's good. That's a lot of buy pressure. That's surprising. Okay. Crazy. So maybe these Veracity people will shut the hell up now that we got within 9% of the point where I said I would take my profits. Since I know you don't know how to sell tops because nobody does. I think it'll probably come down lower, honestly. It's probably going to hit its weekly 10. They can easily go way below 3 cents, folks. So just be careful. The hotter a coin gets, the better of a candidate it is to come down and see like a 65% correction. I'm telling you. Yeah. 2.75 cents is only like a 50% correction, folks. So statistically, a 50% correction is extremely likely without a flash crash. So Veracity holders, you need to be prepared for this to come down to 2.12 cents. That could easily happen. Now, Veracity is pretty strong. I would assume that its weekly 10 would hold it up, but shit's bloody. But I would anticipate that Veracity does come down to 2.76 cents, that trend line there. The West is looking surprisingly strong. So this is what I thought IDEA would do. Potentially at the worst case, dip down below, a little bit below its all-time high, but IDEA really petered out, folks. It is a bummer. Wow, why is Knowles so strong? My gosh, I don't really cover that coin, even though I do hold quite a bit of it from 2017, 2018. I never sold it. It still hasn't gotten to the point I was buying it. Still hasn't gotten there. Okay. Tomo. That's one everybody likes. Yeah, that's pretty weak. Okay, so Tomo's another one. It is now closing below its 21 as well. So that is one that I would anticipate does not skyrocket up compared to stuff like West. What was the other really strong one? Ruby and Trias, I think. No, it was Trias, not Ruby. Yeah, Trias looks strong. So the stronger coins, I feel, are more likely to take off faster, especially if they're not stuck below their 10. VeChain still screaming. Doge still, just look at this shit. That is, I don't know if that's good, folks. That is impressive. Let's just take a moment. Dogecoin. It doesn't even have weekly divergence. It could easily go. It could double from here, folks. It really could. Now, double, maybe not double. It could 1.5x. This could easily hit 60 cents before it corrects. There's no divergence on the weekly. There's divergence on the daily, though, but you can have mountains of divergence. Bitcoin just had 4 mountains, right? Like the moving average went once, lower, twice, over weeks and weeks, 3, and just lower mountains, and then made its high here. Honestly, people saying Doge to $1, that actually could happen. It really could more than double, folks. Now, would I enter the Dogecoin? Fuck no. That is just impressive. Like, this is cryptocurrency for you. God, this is so volatile. Shit like Doge and VeChain just flying while everything else is just bloody as hell. But you can't expect to be picking those 2 winners out of the whole market, right? Like, so again, expectations. So anyway, I'm just trying to, emotionally put some band-aids on everybody. And I'm not trying to, pump you up to give you bad advice about, trying to be optimistic about everything, because that 4th tier could happen. And honestly, since I haven't seen that happen, I have not been in the game since 2012, I don't know what the hell I would do. Perhaps exit 50% of crypto, move into Tether and, or move into DAI and lend it. Maybe use another portion to try to play bounces and longs on light leverage. I really don't know what I would do if that is what happens. But I do have a feeling small alts will recover before Bitcoin does, because people taking profits in Bitcoin are probably going to want to move it into something else. With the glimmer, the silver lining what Doge is offering for the whole market right now, altcoin market. I really don't know what I would do. I can't really offer, even personal guidance to myself and speak out loud, since I'm not a financial advisor. I never, ever provide financial advice. Yeah, this is bloody, folks. So, expectations. When things break through a support, there's always a what's next. Okay, it's the second thought I'll leave you with. Third thought is, if you were not ready with a portion of your portfolio being flat, and you're not able to capitalize on this, at this moment, I would still suggest to myself, if I found myself in that boat, don't sell bottoms, hunker down for a bit, and really soak up the pain that you're feeling, so that you remember how much stronger this pain is than being in 20% tether, for example, while Ethereum's making all-time highs and you're missing out. Which one was hurting more? This is. Way more than missing out, right? And then I guess the fourth thought I'll leave you with is, if you have a statistically likely thing that you're thinking of, and the market just doesn't want to, you need to be nimble. You need to flip. When technicals say flip probabilities, you do it. However, just be ready that sometimes right when you flip it is when what you thought was most probable then happens. So those are the four thoughts I have. And again, throughout bloody times, I'm telling you, it's where most money's made. And if you weren't ready for this, the likelihood of this being the bear market is very low, but we will know soon if Bitcoin closes a couple candles below its 10 and doesn't have a violent reaction back up after a couple candles. Then honestly, I personally would start getting ready to exit to see what Bitcoin did until it's closing candles above its 10. So I'll walk you all through that, not just patrons, but honestly, I might start patrons. I might have to start getting a little bit more on the Discord for VIP and house here if it does start closing candles below here, because I haven't prepped that kind of tutorial stuff yet. And you know what? It could happen. But if it does happen, I would assume that it's a 2012. And whenever Bitcoin comes down here or whatever, if it does do that, which it probably would if it closes plenty of candles, because I think if it hits here, I think it's going to do it all within a couple weeks and then fly back up. I don't think it's going to stay below its weekly. I mean, if you just go back in time, look, this is what I'm talking about. Look how fast of a reaction. Boom, 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 right? Stayed above its 10. Boom, boom. Even like it wasn't even past its all-time high. Boom, boom. It doesn't look. 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks closed, and that was pulling out of the bear market. So as long as Bitcoin is closing above its 21, yeah, because it really was indicative of bear market once it fell below it and stayed below it and closed. So if Bitcoin closes a week and the next week doesn't get healthily above its 21, I would start preparing myself to exit large position, like most of my crypto, and move into die and lend, personally. So be thinking of that. I don't want to scare you. I don't think that's the most probable. It's a lot to think about, but don't be clicking around and making bad choices. Try to do it with, this makes sense because of this, right? Or I will wait to see until this time frame, which typically weekly closes is a good idea. I will wait, to see what 3 weeks do. And if this happens or this happens or this happens in that time frame, then these actions I will take. I wouldn't be taking actions on the daily as of now. That's too short of a time frame. But you probably need to start thinking about, okay, within the weekly candles, if stuff is going like this, then I might start exiting 10% of everything here, 10%, 10%, every week that it's printing under its 10 EMA or something like that. You might start thinking about those thoughts, and but we can get through these bloody times as a community. That's all I got for you. And, expectations, expectations, expectations. Don't let your emotions make you make bad decisions. We'll see you next time.